I bet Major League Baseball wishes they had games going on tonight.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please, as my lower third tells you, you can call me Sully. I have been podcasting baseball for well over a decade now, and have started my sixth full season here at the Locked On Podcast Network. And what a start we have. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and Instagram. You can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm on Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And if you're going to be posting any comments on any of the social media, please be sure to use the hashtag EverydaySully so we know who's following us every single day. And follow us on YouTube. And by the way, just a couple of quick pieces of housekeeping here. If you like the In Memoriam video that I produced, that I dropped the other day, go find it it's not on the Locked On MLB feed because of copyright reasons. Go to Sully Baseball on Twitter or whatever it's called now, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. You'll find the link there if you haven't seen it. I'm very proud of it. We're getting some nice reception from it and worked very hard. And if hopefully for baseball fans, get a little tear when you see that, we pay tribute to the Tim Wakefields and the Vita Blues and some of the other ones who died. And I got some really, really beautiful comments. And by the way, a couple of comments that I got on the video were the exact type of comments I wanted. Like I would bring up, obviously there were the famous players, Brooks Robinson, Vita Blue, I mentioned, Bud Harrelson. But there was a couple of people like, oh, I saw him play. I didn't know he died. And then a couple that were very specific. I saw this player or that player. And so, or I was a kid and this guy gave me an autograph. And so that's kind of the idea. We're celebrating the life as we're starting anew in a season. And let's do over one more bit of pleasant news. Let's go over the trivia question. I talked in the trivia question about Catfish Hunter, who was basically the pioneer of free agency. It wasn't exactly free agency as we know it today, but he was the first superstar whose contract was voided, became a free agent, and opened up people's eyes that he could become a millionaire. He became a millionaire, signed with the New York Yankees after being the ace of the Oakland A's. I'll do apologies to Vita Blue, but the ace of all three seasons that the Oakland A's won the World Series, 72, 73, and 74. Became a free agent after the 74 World Series and signed a multi-million-dollar contract with the New York Yankees, helping them win the World Series for the first time since the days of Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. I said another team offered him more money. What team was that? And John 042 got it right. It was the San Diego Padres. Mr. Croc is beautifully played by Michael Keaton in The Founder. The Padres were offering the sun, the moon, the stars, and a bunch of McDonald's franchises to Catfish Hunter, and more money than the New York Yankees were offering him. It was a different time back then. But the main reason the main reason he didn't sign with San Diego was the fact that he kind of wanted to leave California. He was from North Carolina. He wanted to be on the East Coast, and the Yankees offered him a good deal, and he thought, like, hey, I have a chance to be part of something special in New York, and he certainly was. So there you go. By the way, another sort of free agent what if that the Montreal Expos offered Reggie Jackson more money than the Yankees offered him. But there was a weird sort of kerfuffle that happened with Reggie when he visited Montreal during his free agent tours after the 1976 season. And he got into a little bit of trouble bringing a little bit of weed into Quebec, which may have soured him. But who knows what would have happened, because that same year, the Expos traded for Tony Perez, and they're on the verge of greatness. Gary Carter was emerging there, Warren Cromartie, Ellis Valentine, Steve Rogers, Andre Dawson. They all would have been coming up around the same time, and they had a great run the late 70s, early 80s. Could Reggie have put them on the map and we would still have the Montreal Expos today. I don't know. Neither do you. But Reggie helping the A's win all those championships didn't help them stick around. They're going to be gone pretty soon. We have to talk about it. In fact, I broke a prize. This is if you're keeping score at home. There's a whole bunch of terrific preview episodes on the feed where all the experts, all the local hosts of the Locked On Podcast Network giving their thoughts, giving their predictions and everything. And listen to all of them. They're terrific. Whatever team you are, we cover it. It's on our feed. It was like 6 or 7 episodes dropped in one day. And I dropped 5 earlier episodes today, including talk about the In Memoriam and the open day season in Seoul, Korea, my prediction. And I thought, you know what? I'm taking the rest of the weekend off. I'm going to take off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm going to take 4 days off the podcast. You got enough shows to listen to. And then it happened. It happened like all crazy scandals, oddly. As you know, I'm a teacher at high school here in Los Angeles County. And one of my teacher's aides is a woman named Jessica. And Jessica is a huge baseball fan. Therefore, she is a very good fit in my room. There's a lot of baseball fans in my room, and so it's pretty cool, including the kids. Jessica is a rabid Dodger fan and loves Shohei Ohtani. And when the Dodgers signed Shohei Ohtani, I wrote her a text as if she got married. It was one of those congratulations, may you two be happy for years. I mean, it was that's how big a fan she is. And we were leaving school the other day, and she came up to me and said, like, did you see that the interpreter for Shohei Ohtani, Ippei Mizuhara, got fired for stealing money? I'm like, wow, who would have thought? And from that acorn has a very, very strange tree grown out of the ground. We know very little right now. And the little we know doesn't make any sense. The first thing we heard was they fired him because he was stealing millions of dollars. Oh, I said, okay. Well, we've seen tons of stories like that where an employee gets too close and they embezzle, blah, blah, blah. We get that. We've seen that. You've seen Straight Outta Compton. It happens all the time. So I'm like, okay, oh, man, it turned out to be a fink. But wait, no. It said, oh, he had big gambling debts. Oh, look at that. He was gambling and he stole from Shohei. Okay. I thought that was the end of the story. But it's not. And it's one of these things that the reason why people are going to look at this as a budding scandal is that the story keeps changing. The great Lisa Swan of Subway Squawkers always loves to bring up whenever people start changing the story of something, that scene from the Blues Brothers where John Belushi is begging for his life in front of Carrie Fisher. It's like, I couldn't get car fare. A friend came from out of town. There was an earthquake, a terrible flood. Well, that's a little bit of what's happening right now. The interpreter was given a 90-minute interview. 90 minutes for Shohei Ohtani's interpreter. The show is called 60 Minutes, and they usually have 2 or 3 people that they'll interview. They'll interview Obama and Carol Burnett and go in deep and still have 20 minutes to play with. They gave the interpreter of Shohei Ohtani 90 minutes to tell us, here's what I thought. Here, put the stopwatch. I gambled a lot, and I stole some money from Shohei Ohtani. Thank you very much. When we come back, Carol Burnett. But no, there were things about it that were just weird. That it was a wire transfer of $4 million. I don't know about you, but I wire transferred a house payment that was a couple of $1,000, and I had alerts and confetti flying and sirens and the FBI show up at my house to confirm it. I bought gas at a gas pump. Like, is that really you? So if I'm sending 4 million tomatoes through a wire, chances are I'm getting alerted. Evidently, it was from Shohei's bank in Shohei's name. being sent to an illegal bookmaker because here in California, yeah, it's not legalized gambling here. You notice they had to build it in Las Vegas, and with Shohei's name on it saying loan in the memo. And so he said, oh, yeah, well, he meant to cover that. It was going to be a loan. So that's after 90 minutes. But after the 90 minutes, someone from the legal world came out and said, nope, it wasn't a loan. It was stolt. He stole the money. So the story's changed after we learned something. And so now all we know is this. Millions of dollars were transferred from Shohei Ohtani's account in Shohei Ohtani's name to an illegal bookmaker. And somehow the interpreter is involved. Smelling a bit like a patsy? Nope, sticking to the facts at this point. And the story isn't even 48 hours old, and it's already been told twice. And we saw during the freaking game that Ippei was sitting next to Shohei Ohtani, and they were laughing and having fun and chuckling. Which, I don't know, no one's ever stolen $4.5 million from me. But I'm probably not going to laugh with that person. And here's the deal. The timing couldn't be worse for this. And the whole thing, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of sort of stinks. Hey, are you in a position where you're trying to save money? Are you in a position where you're trying to cover $4.5 million worth of debts and every little bit counts? Well, let me just tell you something. If you're out there, Ippei, then make sure you should use Ibotta. What is Ibotta? Ibotta is the fast way for you to earn money back. Do you know what? It's a free app that gives you cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items from grocery to beauty supplies to toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $145 a year. That can cover an entire shopping trip, buy that flight you're eyeing, and that game you wanted to go to, or buy a fancy dinner for your interpreter. Other apps gives you points that don't amount to much. But with Ibotta, just add your offers to the app and upload the receipt, and you'll get real cash you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or to gift cards. Join the over 50 million savers and earn cash back every time you shop with over 2,700 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Sephora, Best Buy, Macy's, and many, many more. Right now, Ibotta is giving our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Go to the App Store or Google Play Store, download the free Ibotta app, and start earning cash back and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Ibotta! Do you know what? Let's save some money. FanDuel! Where would we be without you? It's America's #1 sportsbook. So say goodbye to busted brackets, because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tournament. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a one seed, you're a seasoned gambler or you're Shohei Ohtani's interpreter, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the net. They cut down the nets. Wow. By the way, as we continue to do live reads, Locked On has started the first ever national sports streaming channel on YouTube. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN all TV day long? Turn down the volume with all that shouting. Make a switch to Locked On Sports today. Free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming like I'm doing right now. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, options, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I mean, the story doesn't make sense. And of course, we only know a tiny bit, but when you're already changing the story early on, it raises suspicions. It raises big time suspicions. And you can't say things. I've already started to see some people say things like, well, Shohei doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would gamble. How do you know? Do you hang out with him? Have we learned nothing in the last bunch of decades that we don't know celebrities? We know the image that they portray. We don't know everything they're doing. We don't know who the nice ones are, the bad ones are. We don't know who's doing things on the side, who's cheating on their wife, who's doing gambling, who's doing. We don't know. We know only what our publicists know. The publicists know and what they share with us. Please, please, as soon as we all learn that lesson that we do not know about these, we don't know about these celebrities. We don't know them. We all thought we knew Mel Gibson and Bill Cosby. Not that I'm saying that that's what's happening with him, but we think you know someone. It turns out, no, we don't. So stop the whole, he's not someone we don't know. He could be gambling every day. It's not like he's out there, sending tweets and doing Instagram stories of him playing with his puppy every day. He's a pretty private person for someone as famous as he is. And holy cow, could the timing of this be any worse? The whole idea, and as I said, I'm not a fan of starting the season overseas, not because I'm xenophobic and I don't want the game to grow. I wanted to. In fact, I like having international games. I think the London games, all the stuff they do are a lot of fun. I think it should be in the middle of the season because I think the start of the baseball season, I think it should be an event for the entire league instead of just two teams, on the other side of the globe. But, it's not the worst thing in the world, and it's going to be all over in a few days, but it's a few days. We had two games, which virtually nobody in America watched. You had the debut of the two big stars. Ohtani played all right. Yamamoto was just dreadful in his one innings pitch. He has an ERA of 45, which I assume will go down. But as a showcase of the great big stars that they have, one of them absolutely wet the bed, and the other one will not make himself available to the media because of a scandal moving around about him. And by the way, Craig Brindle, who is an everyday Sully and contributes a lot, he just put a great comment. How does an interpreter have $4 million to gamble with? I need to learn another language and become an interpreter if it pays that well. Well, I'm sure Ohtani's pays pretty well, and even though he's deferred some money, he's made a couple of million tomatoes already. But yeah, it's like when you think about high rollers in Vegas, is it the interpreter or is it the dude worth hundreds of millions of dollars and incredibly competitive? It's the reason why those stories about Michael Jordan went away. I don't care how many Netflix specials they make. Yeah, him leaving basketball when he did and being out of basketball as long as he was, and always will be fishy. What's he supposed to say in the Netflix documentary? Yeah, that's why I was suspended for this. Baseball is a nightmare. This is supposed to be the face of baseball, and you finally wrestled away one of the MVPs from the Angels. We basically have the entire prime of Mike Trout wasted. Mike Trout is no longer in his prime. He's still a wonderful player when he's healthy, but he's been injured a bunch, and you're going to probably start to see him be merely an excellent player. But Ohtani is still in the middle of showtime, as it were, and baseball is like, yes, we're going to have one of our marquee players in the postseason and maybe clash with Bryce Harper. Hey, we have our stars going up against each other. We want to showcase our stars. How'd it go? He's not available for comment. He's in the middle of a scandal of which either he is the most incompetent person with money, the most trustworthy person with money, stupidly, or his interpreter is taking the fall for him. So, as Craig Brindle pointed out, at least Mike Trout is scandal-free. Yeah. And by the way, Alexander makes another great point. Wire transfers can only be made with the authorization by Ohtani from the bank. So this is odd. All I could say. Exactly. I get phone calls saying like, "Oh, were you using a gas pump in San Diego?" Yeah, okay, just checking. Were you sending $4.5 million to a bookie who's been raided by the FBI? Yeah, I think that was me. And now, guess what we don't have for the next bunch of days? Games. We don't have any games. We got spring training games. We got the silly like freeway series, which by the way, that's going to be interesting. That's exhibition game between the Dodgers and the Angels. That's going to be interesting. But yeah, there's no games going on because you've spread out opening day over a week. That's the main thing I don't like about it. It's not that they're playing in Seoul. It's that it's spread out opening day like crazy. And now we're here, and there's going to be, I mean, the Montgomery signing will be the next big thing. JD Martinez signed with the Mets, but the next big thing is going to be when Jordan Montgomery signs. I'm going to go out on a limb that that's not going to be enough to kick the Ohtani story off the front page. The next games are not going to start for a week. We have a week at least where this is going to be the only story in baseball. You went on this great tour to Seoul, showed in the Game of the World, our two biggest showcase stars. One of them got his butt kicked, and the guy who only lasted an inning and let up 5 runs in an inning had the better 2 days than Ohtani did. Are the Angels going to get the better of this move? By the way, this is why I didn't pick the Dodgers to win the World Series. I didn't. I picked the Philadelphia Phillies because I just thought, do you know what? Something's gonna happen to this Dodger team. It's too good to be true. They didn't even get it back to California before things started hitting the proverbial fan. And what? Call me crazy when we've had this story for only 48 hours and it's already changed 3 times. Call me crazy. Call me a seer. I have a feeling this is not going away and it's not going to get better. But here's a name I don't want to hear brought up, the Hit King. And I will tell you why. Is TV confusing for you? It used to be easy. You had the channels, then you had cable. Now you have a million services. It's time to make TV easy again. It's time for Fire TV. It is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TV, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV. Get access to millions of movies, TV episodes, as well as free and live television. Whether it's the college basketball tournament or Big League Baseball starting up, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. And Fire TV has Fire TV channels. Check out the latest videos from your favorite sports brands for free. Locked on episodes like this show are on there. And so are many pro leagues and major conferences as well. Check out great sports, news, gaming, travel, cooking, and entertainment content. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. Learn more at Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Another quick note about Locked On Sports Today. Do you know what that is? That's the first ever national sports 24 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. And this is the time to listen if you're into college basketball. By the way, my Washington State Cougars play tomorrow. Good luck and go Cougs. Wazoo! Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On plus national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Okay, and a couple people, one of my commenters here, what would be, that was Craig Brindle, and Craig Brindle listens all the time. He said, Shohei, Pete Rose, Ohtani. All right, well, let's pump the brakes a little bit. We don't know if he was betting on baseball. We don't know what he was doing, although it is, it's something is weird going on here. Now, I don't want to hear about, well, if they let him go, then they should let Pete Rose go. This exonerates Pete Rose. That narrative is already kind of sort of beginning. I keep making this point. I'll make it again. I'm just going to say this once for those of you who are new to the podcast and haven't heard me say this. Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame because Pete Rose doesn't want to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm sure he'd like to be in the Hall of Fame, but he'd rather be relevant. He would rather be talked about. He would rather be the topic of conversation during the Hall of Fame vote. Remember, he has not played a game since 1986, which is rapidly approaching the 40th anniversary. And if it's 38 years ago since he last played a game as a part-time pinch hitter. And using the rule of 7, if you're younger than 45 years old, you don't even have a vague memory of him as a part-time player, let alone remember him as an elite player. He's been out of the game so long that one of the children of the Big Red Machine, Ken Griffey Jr., is in the Hall of Fame and now has gray hair. He has had every single chance to be reinstated. He could have been reinstated 5 years after the thing happened. He just had to comply with certain things a Major League Baseball wanted him to do, show that he's no longer involved with gamblers, show that he's not doing this, show he's not doing that. And every single time, he's done the exact opposite. Pete, show us you're no longer hanging out with gamblers. Oh, I'm going to do a press conference from inside the casino. I'm going to do this. I'm going to sell my story to that. All these different things. Anytime he's given a chance to be reinstated, he does the opposite and then gets to play the martyr card. That's because he wants to be relevant, because then he can sit and sign autograph shows and make some money as Pete Rose, the martyred hit king. He doesn't do that if he's in the Hall of Fame. Once you're in the Hall of Fame, do you know when the next time you're ever seen again? In my in memoriam video. How often was Brooks Robinson in the news? Except when he stopped by the booth. Hey, Brooksy, love to see you. You know, Vita Blue, he wasn't even a Hall of Famer. Like Gaylord Perry died last year. How often was he in the news after he made it to the Hall of Fame? Even players who were better than Pete Rose. And there were a bunch of them, like Frank Robinson when he died. How often is Willie Mays in the news? They're going to do a great game for him in Alabama. Most of the time, he's just a nice old man living in Menlo Park. But Pete Rose stays relevant as long as he's not in the Hall of Fame and he can cash in on that. So lest we forget, he's not in the Hall of Fame because he doesn't want to be. And we're not there yet with Shohei Ohtani, but the fact we're even bringing up Pete Rose gambling things and whether or not there's a suspension before the team even goes to California shows this is not how MLB drew this up. And I'm feeling... he's going to say, hey, I deferred all that money. Do you mind if we don't do that? This will be a cataclysmic disaster if the face of baseball has a scandal brewing all over it. And I have a feeling that if you have this kind of spotlight on the team, it's going to be a huge distraction. It's going to be a gigantic distraction. And the Phillies and the Braves and the Giants should be salivating right now. You can bet on that. So we're going to see what happens. We've got a bunch of days where this is going to be the only story. There's not going to be other games to play. There's not going to be other events that are happening. It's just going to be this. So, not how they thought it was going to go. Not how we thought this was going to go when we started this season, oddly, in Korea. And baseball's like, can we move up those opening days, please? Can we do anything? Nope. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday morning. So you got 6 days after today where there's nothing to talk about except Ohtani. And the fact, and I'm just going to state what we know, that nearly $5 million was wire transferred from Shohei Ohtani's account into the account of an illegal bookie with the memo loan, and that illegal bookie has been raided by the FBI. That's what we know. Have fun this week. Here's a trivia question. When Pete Rose was suspended in the middle of the 1989 season, who replaced him as manager? Who replaced him that year, finished out the 1989 season as manager? Who took over for Pete Rose? That is your trivia question. Put it right down here on YouTube or on Twitter, whatever it's called now, or Instagram. Realizing that I didn't bet on a gambling scandal coming up this soon, this has been an emergency episode of Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. You could bet on that, and you can call me Sully. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to learn how to become an interpreter. Apparently, they make some good coin.